This review is going to discuss 9/11, the realities and consequences of that historical event. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello folks, and welcome to Jack Reviews Musicals. If this is the first time you're seeing my face on the internet, my name is Jack and I am a musical theater superfan based in St. Louis, Missouri. And this is my YouTube channel where I share my thoughts on all of the musicals that I go out to see in the area. In this video, I am going to be sharing my thoughts on the now closed second production of the Muny's 107th season, Come From Away, which played from June 26th through July 2nd of 2025. Come From Away being the universally beloved, small-scale Canadian Celtic folk musical, which ran on Broadway from 2017 to 2022. Created by Canadian husband and wife team David Hayne and Irene Sankoff. Both of them worked together to create the music, lyrics, and book for this show. And the Muny's production was one in a long list of shows that they have done recently that are traditionally done with smaller casts and more intimate spaces. But when it comes to shows like that, when staging them at the Muny, it always comes down to intention. What is the story that the creators of the show were trying to tell? And did the Muny use their resources to tell that story to the best of their ability? And in the case of Come From Away, the answer is a resounding yes. Come From Away is a very rare beast. It's a documentary musical. It's a musical that uses film language live on stage to tell a true story. And doing so all in one act. Come From Away is done with no intermission, running at 100 minutes. And the show hits the ground running, starting with the rousing opening number, Welcome to the Rock, introducing us to the nearly 10,000 people who inhabit the island town of Gander, Newfoundland in Canada. Welcome to the Rock establishes immediately that Gander is a very practical small town, with a go-with-the-flow kind of attitude about most things. When the show starts, it establishes that their current biggest issue is a labor strike of their bus drivers union. And we see the people of Gander going through a typical morning in their small island town, underscored by Celtic music that honors Gander's majority Irish population, a heritage that the people are quite proud of. But by the end of the song, we see that this morning is not very typical. The date is Tuesday, September 11th, 2001. The United States has been rattled to its core by terrorist attacks that completely destroyed New York City's World Trade Center and a wing of Washington, D.C.'s Pentagon. In immediate response to this attack, the Canadian Department of Transportation commenced Operation Yellow Ribbon, taking flights that were headed into America's eastern seaboard and diverting them into the largest airports in Canada's airspace. One of those airports being Gander International Airport. Gander International became the emergency landing site for 38 commercial airliners, carrying upwards of 7,000 passengers. But in the process of doing so, everyone involved, the passengers, the flight crew, and even the people of Gander, they were left completely in the dark about the true nature of this emergency. They had no idea what was going on. In order to not spread mass hysteria, the people on the planes were holed up in them for 28 hours. And after they got the all clear to be released, they now have to wait until American airspace officially opened up again. A process that ended up taking 4 whole days. And so, the plane people were shuttled off to Gander, this tiny island town in the middle of nowhere. The influx of people coming into Gander doubled the town's population overnight. So, under the leadership of the town's mayor, Claude Elliott, the people of Gander mobilized, providing food, housing, medical care, and comfort to nearly 7,000 people that Gander calls Come From Aways. Gander did everything they could to make these people feel safe, beyond ethnicity, beyond language barriers, beyond religious affiliation, and they agreed to do this even before they found out what happened on 9/11. And once they did, they felt so much more responsibility to show real compassion and empathy for these people, because from this event, their lives changed forever. And the way that Come From Away tells this story is actually really clever. Because we can't follow all 7,000 Come From Aways, nor all 10,000 Newfoundlanders, Come From Away has an ensemble cast of 12 actors who play multiple roles, all of whom are based on real people. Having this story be told by a small cast creates a kind of microcosm for the universality of the experiences that everyone had during 9/11. David Hayne and Irene Sankoff really created a character piece of this time and place. And the way that they wrote these real people, they made them have character arcs in their own right. That by the end of the show, they are entirely different people from when they started. And all of the people are so compelling to watch. There's people that you root for, there's people that you grow to hate, there's people that you feel sorry for, and people you want to see get even for all the hell they went through. One of the things that the director of the Muny's production, Seth Scalar-Hayne, did that I thought added a lot to the interconnectedness of the people is having the actors playing them bring a lot of themselves to their roles. Like, you can see traces of each actor's personalities and idiosyncrasies across the people they play. Now, they do a great job of distinguishing each character, like you never have a hard time figuring out who is who at any given moment, but the actual ensemble of actors are very diverse, and it makes us see how much of these real people formed deep, meaningful connections, not in spite of their differences, but because of them. Starting off with the actor who got top billing in this production, Heidi Blickenstaff, the actor who inspired the character of Heidi in title of show. She plays Beverly Bass, the captain of one of the planes who actually turns out to be the first ever female flight captain in the history of American Airlines, and the captain for the first all-female flight crew on American 2. Bass gets her own song in this show called Me in the Sky, where she sings about her life story, how she gained her passion for flying, how she worked her way up to the top, and how terrible she feels that her one passion, her one thing that kept her going in life, is being used as a weapon to spread mass destruction and panic and terror and fear and despair. It's also revealed later on that one of Bass's dear friends and mentors was the captain of one of the planes that were used to perpetrate the attacks. And Heidi Blickenstaff makes Bass's pain from this loss palpable, but hers is an understated Beverly Bass. She gives a subtle, grounded performance that absolutely commands the stage, even when delivering Me in the Sky as this passionate power ballad. Heidi Blickenstaff really does pull your focus in every scene that she's in, and she's marvelous at it. Broadway darling John Bolton is indeed darling as Nick Marsden. He's a British oil engineer who's a lifelong bachelor, and he finds companionship in Diane Gray, played by Ashley Brown. Diane is a recent divorcee from Texas who bonds with Nick over a shared trauma, and the chemistry between John Bolton and Ashley Brown was actually really interesting to watch. Bolton plays Nick as this typical uptight British man, and Brown plays Diane as the kind of woman who in life learned that in order to succeed, it's best to keep your opinions to yourself. But seeing how their awkwardness together slowly turns into them discovering their inner freedom results in their relationship blooming. Seeing these two fall in love together was a really beautiful journey. John Bolton also plays the role of Doug Harris, an air traffic control officer at Gander International, who helps to coordinate Operation Yellow Ribbon. He has a cool moment where when he makes a radio call to all of the incoming flights, his mic is pitched to sound like a tinny radio speaker. You can thank the show sound sound designers John Shivers and David Patridge for that effect. Doug Harris is married to Bonnie Harris, who is the president of Gander's chapter of the SPCA. She has been tasked with providing care to all of the animals that were boarded on the planes, including exotic animals that are illegal to have on Canadian soil. Bonnie is played by Andrea Burns, and she really does make her compassion for these animals deeply profound. And the moments where it's clear that Bonnie connects to animals more than humans get a good chuckle. Jason Tam and Trey DeLuna play Kevin Turf and Kevin Young, respectively. The Kevins are an unmarried couple who run an environmental energy company in Los Angeles. But the two of them end up having completely polar opposite reactions to being stranded in Gander, and their opposite reactions cause their relationship to crumble, an arc that was done with dignity under Tam and DeLuna's portrayals. It's worth noting here that the real Kevin Turf, inspired by the unconditional kindness of the people of Gander, founded Pay It Forward 9/11, a charitable foundation dedicated to performing random acts of kindness, purely through word of mouth, just as Gander did to the Come From Aways. I'll leave a link to Pay It Forward 9/11's webpage in the description. Jason Tam, who plays Kevin Turf, also plays Garth, the head of the bus drivers union in Gander, who has to be convinced to halt the labor strike to help the plane people. Trey DeLuna also plays the heartbreaking role of Ali, an Egyptian chef and practicing Muslim, who volunteers to help out in Gander's kitchens, but not without suspicion for the reasons that you're thinking. There's even a harrowing moment where before he has to board the plane to leave Gander once American airspace opens up, that he is forced to undergo a strip search, which, under the doctrines of Islam, is sacrilegious. And Trey DeLuna's trembling and vulnerability in that moment really makes you feel Ali's humiliation, and it's such a profoundly sad moment. Jacob Keith Watson gives a folksy interpretation of Oz Fudge, the head of Gander's two-person police department. Alan H. Green is great as Bob, a lifelong New Yorker hardened by city life whose experience in Gander causes him to lose his jadedness. Muny darling Adam Heller gives Mayor Claude Elliott the take-charge attitude needed to overcome this challenging time, as well as possibly the strongest Newfoundland accent out of the ensemble. You can thank dialect coach Joanna Battles for that. St. Louis native Abigail Isom plays Janice Mosher, a fresh-faced young reporter whose literal first day is 9/11, and Isom makes all of the pain and confusion that Janice feels overwhelming. Zoe von der Haar and Tamika Lawrence play Beulah Davis and Hannah O'Rourke, respectively. They're two older women who bond over their sons being firefighters. Beulah's son is a member of the Royal Canadian Legion, and Hannah's son is a New York City firefighter who was a first responder at 9/11. And seeing the chemistry between these two women was incredible. The acting from Tamika Lawrence is especially wrenching when we learn exactly what happened to her son. The Muni's production expands the size of the cast so that they fill out the stage, have them be dancers and stagehands. The ensemble consists of Leah Berry, Chloe Jennings, Grant LaMartina, Drew Mathers, Spencer Davis Milford, Anna Kate Peters Baku, Jared Rhodes, Jameson Rome, and Will Schulte. The production's director, Seth Sklar-Hayan, was very careful to keep Come From Away purely an actor's musical, blocking the scenes and staging the songs in a way that the characters are front and center. The staging is contained within the Muny center turntable, with the main set piece being a giant multi-tiered platform designed by Edward E. Haynes Jr., painted all over with maple leaves, because Canada. It also features a frame-within-frames effect that emphasizes the show's theme of interconnectedness. All of the locations are portrayed by the placement of a diverse arrangement of tables and chairs, as well as the rotation of the turntable, which shows the tiers of the platform at various angles. When the platform does a 180-degree rotation, it reveals that the back of the platform was built to look like the hull and entryway to Noah's Ark, which I thought was a pretty clever detail. It was actually a brilliant visual metaphor for what Gander was during 9/11. The projections, designed by Mike Tutai, contribute to Haynes's maple motif, with watercolor backgrounds of the Newfoundland scenery, which looks gorgeous. There's evocations of Canada-specific places like Tim Hortons and the Trailway Brewing Company. There's radar screens that show Operation Yellow Ribbon in action, expansive shots of the sky during Me and the Sky and Somewhere in the Middle of Nowhere, and even archival news footage from Canadian TV station Rogers TV, showing footage of the planes on the tarmac at Gander International, as well as the emergency shelters in Gander, adding to the show's documentary feel. Rob Denton's lights augment the scene's visual demands perfectly, really pulling your focus onto the actors even though the stage is so massive. Gail Baldoni's costumes look like they were ripped right out of the actors' closets. They really do feel that authentic, including the accessories that switch out their characters seamlessly, and adding authenticity to the movement vocabulary is choreographer Jesse Robb, who is actually half Newfoundlander. Robb created an energy for the dancing that is both chaotic and healing, especially in the book-ending song Welcome to the Rock. Musical director Evan Reuter does an excellent job of highlighting the score's Celtic folk sound, featuring prominent uses of strings, guitars, woodwinds, even instruments made from household items such as an ugly stick that is showcased heavily at the Screechin', where the Plain people are made honorary Newfoundlanders through a very strange ritual that is both foot stomping and knee slapping at the same time. And the Screechin' is exemplary of Come From Away's strengths overall. Come From Away is about this horrifying time in the history of North America, and as short as it was, we are still reeling from the effects of it even after almost 25 years after the fact. None of the realities of 9/11 are glossed over in this show at all, even with its 100-minute runtime. But Come From Away is also a story about the importance of genuine human connection, of empathy, of how rewarding it is to see eye to eye with a person, and how to help them in their hour of need, or days of need even. Come From Away is a beautiful show, and the Muny's production of it was proof positive that it can be done on any scale, large and small, and the effectiveness will still be the exact same. Did you see the Muny's production of Come From Away? If so, what did you think about it? Whatever it is, whatever you think, comment below and let me know. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss any more St. Louis musical theater reviews coming very soon. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, long live the musical!